everyone, DarkOfAllTrades here. Now for those who are wondering, I live in the Midwest of the United States, in a state best known for corn and pig farming. This means I am surrounded by churches, no not those, and religious people. Interestingly enough, the city I currently reside in has the nation's oldest mosque, which is very progressive for my Midwest city to have some kind of community with a church every few blocks and some number of mosques. Because of this, I have no shortage of people who want to, we'll say, talk to me about their religion. When someone has questions for me, as you all may notice, I have no problem at all talking about atheism and my beliefs. I truly enjoy answering questions and helping people understand my perspective. Because of this, I do my best to assume the person is asking questions honestly. With apologists, that gets a bit harder, but longtime viewers of my channel will notice I operate as if these apologists are being honest, and I ask for the same courtesy, which is not always afforded to the atheist position. So when I see a video where an apologist is asking questions in good faith, pun intended, I am eager to jump right in and give them the answers. So today's video is from Sean McDowell. Say what you want about Sean, I have seen a lot of positivity towards atheists from his videos. This leads me to his video, Best Cues to Ask an Atheist. I'm going to put forth that, would you like to have a drink and talk about beliefs, would be an excellent question to ask me. Now to be fair, I may be a bit of an outlier. Many atheists don't really care to discuss their beliefs and how they became to be an atheist. Especially in the Bible Belt, there could be a lot of negative repercussions for being open about one's atheism, especially in public. However, I am not afraid to talk about it, and would likely do so as well in other parts of the country. I think it is important that atheists speak up and are heard if we want things to change, so other atheists don't have to be afraid of these repercussions. So let's get into these questions Sean McDowell thinks are the best to ask atheists.
Only heaven silent for an answer.
Best questions to ask an atheist? What do you mean by atheism?
There is a proposition. Some number of gods exist. Like with every proposition, the question of acceptance is a true dichotomy. You either accept that proposition or you do not accept that proposition. If you accept it, you are a theist. If you do not accept it, you are an atheist. You may not have an opinion, or you may not know. You may not have even considered the proposition. All of those falls into the does not accept category. Literally anything other than accepts the proposition is does not accept the proposition. So when I say that I'm an atheist or someone I know is an atheist, all that means is that they do not accept that proposition, some number of gods exist. I also go a step further and call myself an anti-theist in that I accept the counterclaim no gods exist. However, my anti-theism is a subset of my atheism.
When did you become an atheist?
I am not sure how this is a best question, but maybe he'll explain it. To actually answer it directly, I think it was around 2013 or so. It was actually very shortly after watching Evolution vs. God by Ray Comfort, which if you ever get the chance to watch it, pass. It is exactly as good as you'd expect a Ray Comfort video to be. One of the next videos I watched was from astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, who talked about the universe as he often does, and I realized that the main reason I still held on to my God belief is because I thought the universe needed a God to exist. And as soon as that fell away, I no longer needed the God hypothesis, and I realized I was an atheist. It was a light bulb moment of realization. Looking back, it was kind of a cool feeling. It just clicked that I no longer needed an unnecessary explainer when I have a natural explanation. That gap in my knowledge I filled with a God kept shrinking and shrinking until there was no more room for a God.
Did you ever believe in God?
Yes, and different ones at different times. As I've talked about before, I was ordained Methodist in 2003, and was what was considered a youth pastor at the age of 18 or 19, working up to having my own congregation. I loved talking in front of people and loved education. My beliefs on God changed over time. While I believed God loved everyone, and I knew that things like homosexuality were technically considered bad, I always treated people with love because they were people, made in the image of this God I believed in. I was very big on the judge not lest ye be judged idea. While I felt very strongly about the fundamentals in the Bible, it was not my place to judge anyone, just share what I knew from the Bible. Though like I said, my concept of God changed over time, adapting with the new information I received.
What's your experience with Christians?
This is a very unnuanced question. What does this mean? I'm around Christians every day. Some of my best friends are Christians. Even if we get into intense discussions, we always part as friends and meet up next time as just as good friends, if not better. Of course, with others, I have also been threatened with bodily harm for not believing in their God. A lot of it comes from the internet, so I'm not worried, and the in-person threats tend to be much less intense or direct, as I'm a rather tall, gothy guy who is genuinely nice to everyone. I am friendly and very outgoing, and can talk to pretty much anyone. People of all stripes like me, which has its benefits and detriments. At my local bar, I'm a well-known and well-liked person, and nobody gives me problems except for the occasional person who has never been there before and will never come back. I meet a lot of closed-minded Christians. I meet a lot of ignorant Christians. But I also meet more compassionate Christians, more loving Christians, and more Christians that don't feel the need to bring up their religion than the other way around by far. Besides disagreeing on the religious and logic aspect of it, I generally have no problem with Christians I meet. I know, I'm lucky in that sense.
What, if anything, might cause you to reconsider your beliefs?
A lot of things might cause me to reconsider my beliefs. I am constantly evaluating my beliefs when I receive new information. I check my beliefs against reality all the time. Does this mean anything will change? Likely not, as my beliefs are founded in what I believe is sound logic and a good understanding of reality, both of which I verify regularly through conversations with atheists and theists alike, through reading and study, as well as in the form of making content like this. My thoughts are out there for everyone to see and evaluate. If I'm shown to be incorrect, I am not shy about changing my beliefs. Unlike many theists, I don't start with a book and judge everything against that book. I start with reality, recognizing that I don't know the answer and discovering it through the evaluation and evidence. When I find religious people who use similar logic, I have had some of the best conversations I've ever had. This is because we disagree, and both of us want to find out why we disagree, and make adjustments accordingly. My beliefs have changed over time, and I can only believe that they will continue to do so as I receive new and better information.
Those are the kinds of questions I like to begin with. Now, eventually, I want to get to the big question.
This has felt a lot more like an interview than what I usually see from apologists. This is something I like about Sean McDowell. In this, he started with the personal questions. He shows he cares to understand the person he's talking to, even though he has had a differing opinion. Building a rapport on the individual, human level is what makes a good conversation partner when it comes to talking about beliefs. I have to give mad respect to Sean for this. But now let's get to the big questions.
Why is there something rather than nothing?
This comes off as a good question, but I don't think it is for a number of reasons. Our cognitive faculties evolved to understand the world around us within the context of tangible objects and observable phenomena. The question delves into the metaphysical realms that might lie beyond the grasp of human understanding. As such, attempting to understand it might be futile or speculative. The question presupposes that there must be a reason or purpose for existence. However, this assumption might not hold in a purely naturalistic or atheistic worldview. Existence might be simply a brute fact without any inherent purpose or external cause. The question reflects a human-centric perspective that assumes the universe exists for a reason comprehensible to humans. However, the vastness and complexity of the universe might suggest otherwise. The universe might not be obligated to conform to human expectations or desires. The question implies a teleological perspective, that is, that there is a purpose or intention behind existence. However, this teleological perspective might not be justified, especially from a scientific or naturalistic standpoint. Existence might simply be the result of natural processes without any inherent purpose or design. Human language evolved to describe concrete objects and observable phenomena within the physical world. The question ventures into metaphysical territory where linguistic expressions might fall short or be inadequate to convey meaningful answers. Finally, the question assumes that nothing is a possible state or condition. However, defining nothing is inherently problematic. Is nothing simply the absence of something, or does it imply a state without any potential for existence? The concept of nothing is philosophically ambiguous or even nonsensical. Existence, from my understanding, is the base state to which we add on labels in order to describe things. Theists propose that something always existed in some form, specifically their God, and their reasoning tends to boil down to some form of the first cause argument. Of course, atheists can use that same type of argument and assert that the universe always existed in some form, but the laws of physics could have been different before the Planck time, as we know they break down as we approach the Planck time. We can just say, I don't know, as to why there's something rather than nothing here. We know that there is something, and then go from there.
Where did life come from?
There are a number of ideas as to how life got started on Earth. While we don't have a definitive answer, scientists have proposed several hypotheses and theories to explain the origin of life on Earth. Some of the prominent theories include: abiogenesis proposes that life arose from non-living matter through a gradual process of chemical evolution. Under the right conditions, simple organic molecules could have formed from inorganic compounds in the Earth's early environment. leading to the development of more complex molecules and eventually self-replicating molecules such as RNA or primitive forms of metabolism. Panspermia suggests that life may have originated elsewhere in the universe and then spread to Earth through comets, asteroids, or other space debris. While this theory doesn't explain the origin of life itself, it posits that the building blocks of life could have been delivered to Earth from extraterrestrial sources. Some scientists propose that life may have originated around deep-sea hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor. These vents release hot, mineral-rich fluids into the ocean, providing an energy source and a chemical environment conducive to the formation of complex organic molecules. The RNA world hypothesis suggests that RNA played a central role in the origin of life. According to this hypothesis, RNA molecules are capable of both storing genetic information and catalyzing chemical reactions, serving as early life-replicating molecules before the emergence of DNA-based life. The clay hypothesis proposes that life may have originated on the surface of clay minerals, which could have provided a scaffold for the concentration and organization of organic molecules, as well as catalyzing chemical reactions necessary for life's emergence. The origin of life is still an active area of research and debate in fields such as chemistry, biology, and astrobiology. The study of life's origins involves understanding complex processes that occurred billions of years ago, making it a challenging but fascinating endeavor for scientists.
The origin of consciousness.
There is no consensus among researchers about what exactly the origins of consciousness is, and I am not a neuroscientist, but there are a few theories that seem to have some explaining power. Many scientists believe that consciousness evolved gradually over millions of years as a result of biological evolution. According to this view, consciousness is an emergent property of the complex interactions among neurons and brain structures. As organisms evolved more sophisticated nervous systems, consciousness may have emerged as a byproduct of increased brain complexity and functionality. This theory, proposed by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi, suggests that consciousness arises from the integration of information within the brain. According to this view, consciousness emerges when a system becomes highly interconnected and exhibits a high degree of informational complexity. Proposed by psychologist Bernard Bars, the global workspace theory suggests that consciousness arises from the brain's ability to integrate and broadcast information across various neural networks. According to this theory, consciousness is associated with the brain's capacity to selectively attend to, integrate, and act upon relevant information. Some researchers speculate that consciousness may be related to quantum processing occurring within the brain. Theories of quantum consciousness propose that consciousness emerges from the quantum-level interactions among particles within neurons. However, this idea remains highly speculative and controversial within the scientific community. This is another thing that we can say we don't know for sure about. However, like the existence of life, we don't need a supernatural explanation when we have perfectly good natural ones.
Objective moral values and duties.
I am not convinced these exist. I've talked about morality a lot, so I'll try to keep this section short. Morality is subjective. Someone's justification for grounding their morality in whatever they do, such as some god, is on no better footing than someone else grounding it in something that isn't a god. Realistically, that belief is not on the god, but what the individual believes about that god. I take a more consequentialist approach, in so much as I put forth that the effects of reality is the grounding for my morality. We make subjective bases for morality, and then we make an objective evaluation to determine whether something is moral or not. How do we know if an action is good or not? We evaluate the outcomes with the effects it has on reality. I would assert that most people, if not all people, do this on some scale. Again, no God required.
And who is Jesus?
Mr. Jesus is a character in Christian mythology as well as a character in some other mythologies. I don't believe this character was ever an actual person, but I have no problem granting that some guy who we now refer to as Mr. Jesus existed at one time, but in that case, he was a human and lived a human life. I have not seen sufficient evidence to suggest that he was anything more than a human. Sure, there are stories, but as I said in my last video, we have stories of Darth Vader doing some pretty amazing things. That doesn't mean he is real, and even if there was someone that the character was based on who existed, that doesn't mean that the person was able to do those amazing things. And to push the idea of Mr. Jesus sounds just as silly to atheists.
But to me, those questions are often downstream from first getting to know the person and hearing their story.
This is what I was talking about. As bad as apologists tend to be, this is a very positive perspective that I sincerely wish more people, not just apologists, would adopt. The existence of a God has no bearing on my perspective of people. I care about the person as an independent thinking agent. I want to live in a society where my perspectives are heard and valued, and so what needs to happen for that to be the case? Well, humans are empathetic creatures. We should start there. I recognize that I want to be heard and I am similar to other humans, so it is likely that other humans want to be heard and understood. So I take the time and effort to understand what people think and why. This is one reason why I'm still so active in my comment section, even with over 100 comments per video. Thank you for that, by the way. This is because you all matter, and I care about what you think and why. I could even justify that selfishly and say it's because I don't want to be wrong, and putting things on the internet is one of the best ways to see if you're wrong or not. And that's where his video ends. Rather than a review, I want to list the questions here, and all of you can pause and answer in short form in the comments, one, some, or all of these questions. I am interested in your thoughts. So here are the questions in order. That's it for this one. So what did you think? Do you think that these are the best cues to ask an atheist? Or do you have any better ones? Let me know in the comments below. Though I have been thinking about support recently. What are the best ways for people to support this channel? Well, for free, you can hit the like button. Additionally, for exactly $0, you can hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. For just a bit of time, you can feed the almighty algorithm by leaving a comment and engaging respectfully. All of that helps the YouTubes get my content to more people, and you all are doing a great job so far. Thank you. For a little bit more, consider sharing the video you really liked in your social media, especially in your debate or atheist groups. As my channel grows, I hope to work with other popular atheists in the near future. Though to really show you believe in my work, you can join my absolutely wonderful, intelligent, and arguably attractive patrons, Calamitous Anima, Sora, Long-Haired Lefty, Musical Ocelot, Ooga Booga Luga, Tarek Alkasab, Jamabomb, Kai Henningsen, and Triple Towel, who are the something that shows my channel isn't nothing. Thank you, patrons, so much for believing in me. I know I wouldn't be nearly this far without you. Pricing for the Patreon starts as low as $1 a month, and if nothing else, you get some pretty cool custom art, and when I can, videos a day early without any ads. So if this is something you care about, I don't need to explain how Patreon works to you all. You're all pretty smart. And as always, keep learning.